Broadcasting from Ireland, featuring interviews with some of the biggest names in magic. Welcome to the Deceive Reality Podcast with your hosts, David Peace and Steve Spade.
And we're back. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Deceive Reality Podcast. My name is David Peace and I'm joined by my friend Steve. Steve, how are you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you?
That's great. Doing good now. It's going. The intro is always the best as we go, and then we've got a great guest right in the middle. We have Matt. Matt, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. So excited. Thank you so much for having me on. Like the intro says that, like the best magicians are like. Are you really short on people this week? Just like scraping the barrel.
Dave is like the best magicians, or whoever we can get,
or whoever we can get at short notice. Yeah.
Well,
no, it's great.
Only one person here has been in the program of Blackpool Magic Convention. So
that was a fluke, and it had nothing to do with me. Nothing to do with me at all. I was just told it was happening.
Yeah. I wish people would tell me it was happening. Then I wouldn't have to do it. It's so much easier.
It would be, wouldn't
it? It was like on Saturday night, I was sitting at home and there was a show that I know people doing, and they were like, I was like, oh, I'll go see. I was like, yeah, there's still tickets available in the door. And they're like, oh, sure, you don't need a ticket. Also, do you want to do 10 minutes? And I was like, sure. And it was like showing up 15 minutes later, finding out what the other acts are doing to figure out what I'll do.
That's awesome, though, man.
That's the way to do it.
That was kind of like when I did the Curious Cabaret. They just kind of went, do you want to do it? And I was like, yeah, of course I want to do it. And they were like, great, okay, perfect. Well, it's going to be on this date, so put it in your diary. And it was only like 2 weeks away. And I was like, great, perfect. Let's do that then. Didn't ask any other questions, stupidly. And then about 2 days before, I was like, well, who else is on, by the way? And they went, oh, it's just Andy Gladwin and Danny Buckler. And I was like, oh, no. Okay, brilliant. And he was like, what are you planning on doing, by the way? Because we just need to make sure it doesn't line up with what they're doing. And luckily it didn't. But then I ended up changing it on the car on the way up there anyway. But it was, that was a kind of moment of sitting backstage with Andy Gladwin and Danny Buckler, and then Drew Perry sitting there, and then D. Christopher walks in, and Craig's there, obviously. And I'm just like, how did I get here? What happened in the last 12 months of my life to mean that this is now the kind of thing that happens? It's
if only there was some sort of documentary or something about the last 12 months. Like this.
I know. It would explain everything, wouldn't it? But even the documentary doesn't explain how that happened. Like it shouldn't have ended up in that. The whole point of the documentary, I'm pretty sure, as far as Craig's concerned, was just to make me look like an idiot for 13 weeks. Prove that you can't just learn magic like that. And then that had been it. No one would have seen me again. I'm pretty sure that was the whole point of the reason why he did it to start with. But luckily for me, it didn't turn out that way. And now I'm sitting here talking to you beautiful people. So it's crazy.
Full circle.
Absolutely crazy. I know.
if we were to go back to the start, because like for people talking about like getting into magic and that sort of stuff, you obviously started off just being the guy reacting big to magic, and then you kind of wanted to learn it, and then you've really gravitated toward the mentalism. So like, was the mentalism side, even when you were watching, the side you liked and knew you wanted to go into, or did that kind of like come out?
Yeah, so I mean, starting out into magic wasn't just I started working for Craig and then he put me on the internet. That it was kind of like I've always loved magic, always, to the point where when I was getting married, I didn't actually get married in the end, but when I was planning my wedding to that person, I was like, you can do everything, choose everything. I don't care. Like flowers, I don't give a shit. Tablecloths, don't care. Whatever you want to do, whatever makes you happy, wherever you want to do it, I'm not bothered. The only stipulation that I've got is that we're having a magician at that wedding. Like that was it. That's all I wanted. That was my only thing. I've always loved magic. Watching magic growing up on the TV, and I've been to see Darren Brown a bunch of times and a whole crap load of magicians like live. I love genuinely. I've always loved magic. And out of everything that I've done, like performance wise, like theatre and being in bands and being an actor and all that stuff, magic always seemed too far of a reach. It just didn't seem like it was something that I was going to be able to do, and I always just put off learning it. I just couldn't do it. I didn't know where to start, didn't have any influences. Nobody that I knew was really into magic, so it was a really difficult thing to start doing, I think, and I just kind of brushed it off. And I was that busy with other stuff as well that I was just like focusing on what I was doing at the time. But then we went to a wedding fair, and Craig was the magician at the wedding fair. And he showed me a few card tricks, and I instantly went, well, I want you. That's it. I'm booking you now. Done. So I booked Craig for my wedding. The wedding then didn't happen. But about 4 years later or something, 4 or 5 years later, I was in a musical theatre company with a girl called Liz, and she worked for Craig. And they were like, Liz was like, we need a salesman. I know that you're a good salesman. I was working for a company called What's On, which I don't know if you have over there, but it's quite a large magazine. Yeah. And I was working for them in the city. Really good job. And they went, we need a salesman. And I was like, nah, I'm doing all right at the moment. And he went, it's for Craig Petty. And I was like, the magician? And she was like, yeah. I went, I didn't know you worked for Craig. She went, yeah. I was like, oh my God, no way. Well, I'll come down and have like a chat to him and see what happens. And then instantly, as soon as we started talking, he was like, yeah, I want you to come and work for me. To the point where, and I still don't think Sarah knows this, so this may be an exclusive. I was on the train on the way to work the day after I had my initial meeting with Sarah and Craig was on the train. So I got on the train to the city to go to work, and he was sitting there, and I was like, oh my God, hey, how you doing? And we sat there, and by the time we'd both, yeah, I know, right? And by the time we'd both got off the train in Birmingham, he'd already offered me the job. But then he was like, but you got to come in for your second interview tomorrow. So don't tell Sarah that I've already offered you the job. So he'd already given me the job before I'd done my second interview. And then I still had to go and do the second interview, and then I was surprised when they offered me the job. It's
a good thing
I don't know. I know, right? I don't know if Sarah's going to watch this, but that is genuinely how it went. And then from there, I was like, right, I want you to teach me how to do magic. And he refused for ages, just point blank, no. And we started doing the videos and stuff, and those reactions, genuine reactions. I genuinely love magic, and if it falls me, I'm more than happy to let that show, and then COVID hit, and then we couldn't do anything, and blah 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 blah. And I had to get a different job because there was nothing to do, so we couldn't stay in the office. So I got a different job, and then he called me when COVID was finishing and said, will you come back? And I was like, I've gone back to my old job, dude. Like, I'm doing really well. And he was like, I really want you to come back. I went, I really want to come back. And to be honest, I was waiting for this phone call, hoping this phone call was going to come. But if you really want me back, you're going to have to teach me how to do magic. That's the deal. Like, I'm not fucking about. I want to learn. And he was like, okay, fine, let's do it. So I went back to work. We got the business like back running again. It took a few months. We got the business back to where we wanted it to be, so we would have the time to do it. And then I went, right, I think it's time, mate. Like, let's do it. He went, okay, cool. He said, oh, there's one stipulation from my side as well. And I was like, what's that? And he went, if I'm going to teach you how to do magic, we're going to film the whole thing, and then we're going to put it on YouTube. And I was like, whoa, hold on, that wasn't part of the deal. What are you talking about? We never mentioned that before. He went, well, that's my stipulation. And I was like, fucking fine, okay, whatever. So then he taught me how to do magic. We put it on the internet, and here we are.
Nice,
and that's kind of my story into magic. Yeah.
You're glad that it wasn't OnlyFans or some shit like that.
I don't think that would have been anywhere near as successful. Me and Craig on OnlyFans. Can you imagine?
I don't think
nobody's going to want to watch that.
I don't think we've been talking to you.
That would not have been good.
No.
Oh.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was it. And then we've just kind of gone from there. And then, mentally, because I've got an acting background, because acting's my thing, and I've been doing acting for years and musical theatre and being in bands and stuff. I've kind of got that experience that when I started learning more about it, when Craig was letting me peek more behind the curtain, and I was meeting new people and going to Blackpool and meeting like you guys and stuff, and like mentalists were really starting to blow me away. And I think the thing about it that really like got me the most was the storytelling aspect of it. Like, you guys are incredible storytellers. Mentalists are amazing. Watching Darren Brown, and people that are that good at just doing really simple effects. I went back, and I've actually since I've got more into it and I started to know how things are working, and I've got, a good idea of methods and stuff. I've gone back and rewatched everything Darren's ever done. Knowing now that I'll have an idea about how he does stuff. And even though I've got an idea about how he does stuff, it's still as impressive as it was the first time I watched it because of how he sells it, because of how that man does it. He's the ultimate showman. And with the experience and the background that I've got of being in sales and, you know, being able to build rapport with people quite quickly, being able to tell a story because of my acting background, I think that mentalism is always going to be the natural progression. It's always the thing that's interested me the most in magic anyway. And then with the skills that I've already got, that was just how it was going to be. So, and I'm really happy about that because mentalism is my favorite part of magic by quite a long way.
Definitely. So I think it's like the cliche. It's cliche because it's not true 100% of the time. But for a lot of it, with mentalism, the trick from the sleight of hand or whatever thing that the magician has to do is over before the spectator even realizes the trick has begun. So then it's just all presentation and revealing because it's like you've gotten your peak 10 minutes ago. You're done, or you forced something, and then you can just play for the rest of it and see what you can do. So that's why I find it really good.
Yeah, absolutely. Like Craig's ruse the day he gave me an Anverdi die because the things that I can now do with that little black square is unbelievable. Like I could quite easily go and do a 2-hour close-up gig at a corporate function with just that die and smash it and get rave reviews afterwards. And it's because, like you say, you give somebody a die, 3 seconds later, you know exactly what the number is. But you can spin that for minutes. You just have them just eating out the palm of your hand. And I've had people regularly, when you go and do something like that, if you sell it right and you're telling the right story and you're getting people hooked in as well as you possibly can, you'd have people literally grabbing you by the arm and going, come over here, come and see this person. So you don't even have to go table hopping because people are coming to you or you're being dragged to other people. And it's kind of like there's so much satisfaction in doing something so well that people are like, oh my God, you've got to come and show this person, or you'll never get them. And then you do get them. And then they're like, oh my God, this is incredible. And the amount of times that people have gone, this is like Darren Brown shit. And that is the biggest compliment that anybody could ever pay me, to even put me like in the same conversation as somebody like that is just mind blowing to me. And I think that using simple effects, not having to go crazy and not having to do these massively overly complicated things and being able to focus on the presentation is really important. And that's kind of what I've been focusing on the most is just the presentation and reeling people in. And it seems to be working.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. I love that. Oh, you'll never fool Tom. I'm like, where the fuck is Tom? Let's go.
Exactly. Yeah. Go and get Tom. Get him right now. Tom. Yeah.
I'm not
go and get him.
Oh, you go get him. Bring him here.
Yeah. That happens all the time. And I love it. I love it. You go to a gig and you go to, walk to a table of 5 people. And after 5-10 minutes, there's 20 people standing around the table. And they all just want to see what you're doing. And everyone's trying to catch you out. Or I've had it where I'm standing around a table and I go, oh, that person, watch his left eye twitches. That's what his tick is. That's what his tell is. It's his left eye. And then you get to count up and do whatever it is that you're doing with whatever effect it is that you're doing. And they go, do you see his left eye move? 50% of the people will go, oh my God, yeah, I did. And it's like, how? Because it didn't fucking happen. But because you're selling it to them that well, they're just like, oh my God, yeah, I saw it happen. And it's like, sold.
And even the guy that you say to now has like a permanent twitch in his left eye.
Yeah. Because he's walking around going, "Oh my God, I can't lie. I can never lie to anybody again."
Fucking mad doing my
life. It's mad how many people actually have tells though that you find.
Yeah.
Because even the last show I was doing Imposter, and we were down to 2 people, and I know the thing, and it was I was like, "Are you the murderer?" And I was like, "Both of you say no," and your mom was going, "No." I literally
no, I am not.
Left any gimmicks with me at home and just done it, and I would have been fine.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, if you can find that somebody's actually got to tell, that makes everything so much more real. Because that's one of the things I say. I look for, it's normally like corners of the eyes, corners of the mouth, jawline. Every now and again, an eyebrow will move. And occasionally someone will physically nod at you without realizing they're doing it. That's part of what I say. So then if you're like explaining that to somebody and they're nodding along with you, and you go, "You're a nodder, aren't you?" And they go, "Oh my God, yeah, I am. Oh shit." And then they're concentrating the whole time you're doing anything on not nodding. And then if they don't nod, you go, "It's because you were concentrating so hard on not nodding," which you were definitely doing, weren't you? And they'll go, "Oh my God, yeah, I was concentrating so hard on not nodding." Well, because you were doing that, it opened the rest of your face up and you actually tip with the corner of your mouth. And like, "Oh my God." And they're not doing anything. My legs vibrating. That's all it's ridiculous.
You're just
And that's-
excited.
You're too
Yeah.
far away from you're too far away from your house. That's why your legs vibrating. Then
Yeah, exactly.
you give your little
Yeah.
parole device.
I feel I should explain to everybody why I'm sitting outside in a bike jacket. So I was coming to get. I know that you guys already know, but just because everyone's going to be sitting there going, "Why are there fucking trees behind him? Is he homeless? Does he live outside?" So I came to get my bike MOT'd. It went wrong, took longer than it should have done, but I didn't want to not do the podcast. So I'm sitting outside a bike garage somewhere in Leicester doing this with a light pointed at me. So that's why I'm sitting outside, just in case anybody was wondering. Let's carry on.
Yeah. And it's just such a lovely evening as you freeze.
Yeah. It's actually, these jackets are ridiculously warm. So I'm good. And I've got my neck scarf and stuff. I'm all good. I'm warm.
You mentioned the like Darren Brown and as well with the nodding and that. Like Darren constantly has that nod now, even if he's being interviewed on a TV
That's
program.
a nervous tick, isn't it?
See there.
It's a nervous tick. He's always had it, apparently.
Yeah, just like reassuring people of what he's saying constantly. Mad.
I think it's actually a nervous tick. Like he's got no control over that. It's actually just like his head jolts, but it's kind of like he's almost like goading people on. But it's not. It's like he always does it.
It's there for life.
We're all trying to do it when you're like, now you can feel your hand heating up,
Yeah.
right?
He's just natural. He's that much of a natural that his body just does it without him even realizing. That's what we should put it down to. But yeah, the guy's an absolute genius. I've never met him. I really want to meet him one day. But I want to meet him at a point where I'm not just going to go.
he has that thing, where he has that thing when he makes people look at it, and then it's the whole temping or whatever you called it in the show. And when I met him in the Olympia in the theatre in Dublin, people during the show he was trying to get not caught by it or whatever, and magicians were meeting him and stuff afterwards. And I just took a picture of my hand in my phone, and I said, "Darren, do you mind having a look at this? It's just something I was working on." And I just scrolled like, "Oh, that's my sister, that's whatever and whatever." And I was just going through my phone, and then it was just me doing this, and he was like, "Oh, you bastard!"
That's brilliant.
That was great. Good fun.
That's so good.
He was
like,
So you met Darren Brown. You had the honour and the privilege of meeting Darren Brown, and then you pissed him off.
I pissed him off. I wrote on my program, "Steve, you bastard." Darren Brown.
That's great, though. That's so good. I would love that. That's amazing.
We saw him in Cork before as well.
Cork,
and then we went to the Crane Lane bar afterwards, and we went up to the bar, got drinks, and I was like, I wonder where Darren goes after the show. And we turned around and he was like, there he is. And he was just sitting with like the rest of the crew having a drink. So we were like,
no way.
But it was just so random
awesome.
that we were just like, wonder where Darren is. Oh, there he is.
There he is.
Yeah.
My mate Roman Armstrong. Do you know Roman Armstrong?
Yeah.
He was part of the Unbelievable show in the West End, and he kept sending me photos all the time of him like standing there with Darren, and I'm just like, you're such a bastard. Like, just stop it. Like, I know that you're working there. I know that you get to work with Darren every day. I'm aware. Stop rubbing it in. But he's he said that just he's consummate professional. Everything was just brilliant about how working with him and stuff, and he's so down to earth and such a lovely guy. Because it's the kind of like, do you want to meet him? Is the meeting your heroes thing, isn't it? But I definitely if I ever get the opportunity, I definitely want to walk up and shake that guy's hand. Maybe I'll get some of his powers. You know what I mean? Shake his hand for long enough, you might be able to extract a bit of talent. Yeah.
You shake his hand and then you just nod for the rest of your life. You just don't even know why.
Yeah. Works for him. I'm happy. Like, you know what I mean? Works for him. It's good enough for me.
Absolutely.
For you as well, you're saying like with the acting background and like doing theatre and stuff. That was something that you just got into in school, or was it like something you developed later on, just the interest in acting and stuff?
Music was something I got into really early. So I've been singing in bands for like 20 years. And again, I've always loved musical theatre. It's always something that I've wanted to do. But with being a singer in a band, we were so busy. Like, we did tours and all kinds of stuff and spending weeks on end in sweaty vans with 5 other dudes. And so we never really had time to do it. And it was kind of like the stigma at the time as well. I was young when I got into like my first metal band and stuff. And the whole musical theatre thing wasn't really part of that culture. And I spoke to a couple of people about, loving. I've always gone to the West End and seen West End shows, and it's always fascinated me. And those guys are so talented. But it was the kind of, when I'd speak to people within the metal community about like musical theatre and stuff, they'd be like, "Oh, it's for whatever, wimps and blah, blah." And you just kind of shrug it off. And then it got to a point, I was getting a little bit older, and it got to the point where I was like, you know what, fuck it. Like, I really love musical theatre, and I really want to try it just to see if I can do it, just to see what happens. And fuck what all the haters think. I'm just going to do it anyway. Yeah. So I did, and I found a local amateur musical theatre company, and then rang them up, and I rang a bunch of them actually, and I got a really good feeling from this one lady called Caroline, who was really, really nice to me on the phone. And I said, look, I've been singing in bands for years, but I've never acted. I've got a bit of a dancing background. I used to dance in clubs when I was a kid for like DJs and stuff, but I've never been trained properly how to dance, just club dancing and stuff. And she went, doesn't matter, just come down and have a go, and we'll see what happens. So I went down and they were just auditioning for their first show, for their next show. It was literally right at the start of, they hadn't cast it or anything. They were still doing auditions. So it was the perfect time to call. And I went down, and they just come down, sit at the back of the theatre and just watch what everyone's doing. We're just going to run some dances and stuff. We haven't auditioned or anything yet, but we're just going to run some dance warm-ups and stuff and see, just come down, have a look and see what you think. So I went down, and I came in, sat down, and then within 30 seconds, they were like, what are you sitting down for? And I was like, I was told to just come and sit at the back and watch. And they were like, fuck that, come on. I was like, oh shit. Here we go. With a bunch of musical theatre people, I'm standing there with a cut-off T-shirt and tattoos everywhere and black bloody eyeliner at the time. And I absolutely loved it. Loved every second of it. It was amazing. And they went, well, you've got to audition for the show. And I was like, you know what, just because I'm here and for, the experience of doing a theatre audition, I'll have a go. So they gave me the lib to learn and the song to learn, and can you hear their motorbikes in the background?
No.
And they gave me the stuff to learn, and I went back the week later, and they were doing like rehearsals for audition practices, and then the week later was the actual rehearsal. So I went back, did my audition. I held my own. I thought I did okay. Wasn't too bad. I wasn't mortified at how I'd done. And then they called me up the day after and said, "Yeah, we're not going to offer you that." I went for the smallest part in the show. It was The Wedding Singer was the show. You know, the Adam Sandler movie?
Yeah.
They do a musical theatre version of that. So it was that show. So I auditioned for Glenn, which is a really small part. And they went, "Yeah, we're not going to offer you the part of Glenn." And I was like, "Oh, shocking!" I've been in musical theatre for a total of 2 weeks. So yeah, that's not a surprise. But thank you for calling me. They went, "No, hold on. We're not going to offer you the part of Glenn because we're going to offer you the role of Sammy." And I was like, "I'm sorry, what?" And Sammy was the right-hand man. He's a principal character in the show. So there's Adam Sandler and Sammy, and then the two girls, and they're like the four main characters within the show. So I was just like, holy shit, really? And they were like, "Yeah, we thought you were brilliant. We want to offer you the role of Sammy." So that was like a rude awakening, a proper like steep learning curve into the world of musical theatre. I had to learn everything like really, really, really quickly. So even like how I'd been singing for like 12, 14 years at that point, but I've been singing in metal bands. Yeah. And then this guy came over to me, wicked guy named Cheadle, amazing piano player. And he was in the show. And he went, "You can't sing how you sing." He said, "I'm a metalhead. I've always loved metal, but I do musical theatre, and you can't sing the way that you sing." And I was like, "Well, that's how I know how to sing." And he went, "Come round my house tomorrow, and I'll show you what I mean." So we went round to his house, and he played Empty Chairs, Empty Tables from Les Mis on the piano, and went, "Sing this song." Gave me the words, "Sing this song." I was like, "Okay." So I sang it. He went, "Yeah, you're singing like a rock star." And I was like, I'm a rock singer, mate. Like, that's what I do. And he went, No, do it like this. Gave me 20 minutes to go away and practice a completely different way of singing. Came back and we smashed it. So it was literally 20 minutes and I learned how to sing like a musical theatre singer. And then it's just kind of like evolving on that. And then I had to learn how to act really, really quickly because there was a lot of acting in this show. I was on stage a lot. And then learning how to dance properly as well. All within, I mean, I think from start to finish, from the start of rehearsals to actually show week was about 8 months. So I had to learn everything super, super, super quick. And it was one of the best things I've ever done in my life, that show. It was amazing. And then from then we went on and we did more shows. And then I got cast in the Rocky Horror Tour, which was a professional show, a paid show. And I just went, my mate called me one day and he went, Rocky Horror's auditioning. And I was like, okay, good for them. And he went, no, you should go. They need a narrator. And I was like, what? And he went, they need a narrator. He said, most musical theatre people are taught to ignore the audience. They're not there, but don't forget that they are. So you never turn your back to them, but you don't look at them and you don't address them. So you have to remember that they're there and remember that they're watching, but you don't actually look at them or talk to them in any way, shape or form, because you're supposed to be watching like a live movie. He said, but the narrator is the guy that talks to the audience. He addresses the audience throughout that and guides them through the show. So a lot of musical theatre people haven't got that kind of experience, where you've been a singer in a band for 20 years. So why not?
Yeah.
And I was like, I'll go for the audition just for shits and giggles of going to a professional audition. I'll just go and give it a go and see what happens. And I went down there, did my audition. Again, I did okay. I thought I did okay. They thanked us, sent us out of the room. But that was like a proper like X Factor type thing. You walk into a theatre and there's 7 people sitting behind a table, which is choreographers and producers and directors, and I'm just standing there. There's 3 professional musical theatre performers standing next to me in a line, and I'm like shaking, like visibly shaking. The pianist who's in the corner looks at me and he just goes, "You all right?" And I was like, "No, not at all. I really shouldn't be here." And he went, "Just do what you can." And I'm like, "Okay." Sang this song, and it got to the point where he played the opening bar of the song, and then my head just went, fuck it. What have you got to lose? You're the underdog. All of these people are thinking you're going to fail. Fucking prove them wrong. So, and something in my head just went, just go for it. And I let out this first note, and the guy that was standing next to me, I didn't look at him, but I could feel it. I could see him in the corner of my eye. He just went, and just turned around and looked at me. And I'm just like, oh, singing this fucking song. And then we did like a bit of lib, like talky bits. And I had to like backwards and forwards with this producer who was reading the other lines. And then I just left, went home, got the train, went home, waited 3 days, didn't hear anything. And then all of a sudden my phone went off. And it was one of the producers, one of the choreographers and the director of the show. And they went, "Hi, yeah, we'd like to offer you the part of the narrator." And I was like, fuck off. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I don't know why I said that. I'm really like, and they were, all 3 of them were just wetting themselves laughing. And I was like, can you repeat that for me, please? I was in a hotel room somewhere. I think I was what was I doing? I must have been with a band or something. I was in a hotel room somewhere. And then I just remember going, can you repeat that? And they went, yeah, we'd like to offer you the part of the narrator. We're going to send you the details. Rehearsal starts in 3 weeks. And my heart just felt like it was going to explode. I'm like, how am I going to do this? This is insane. And then I was the only principal cast member in the show that wasn't from the West End. I was the only one that had cast that wasn't a West End actor. And that was terrifying. I remember standing backstage at the first show, which I think was like Swindon or something. It's like 3,000 seats in the auditorium, every single one of them full. At least 30% of them dressed like Frankfurter. So you've got all these blokes dressed in fucking heels and basques and stuff. I'm standing backstage in tight leggings with slits all down the side, 6-inch fucking heels, about to walk on stage. Because at the start of the Rocky Horror Show, I had a 9.5-minute monologue, which is just me on stage on my own for 9.5 minutes, doing nothing but audience interaction, which is terrifying. Just utterly terrifying. And I remember standing backstage and the choreographer looked at me and I'm standing in the corner, like visibly, like trying to, I've got my lines and I'm visibly shaking. And she came over to me, she went, "It's going to be okay. It's going to be all right. You're going to be fine. You can do this. I've watched you through the entirety of rehearsals. You're going to smash this. Look me in the eyes, take a breath, tell me you can do this, and we're going to pull the curtain." And I took a breath and I went, "I can do this." And she went, "Yes, you can. Off you go." And just sent me out onto the stage. And it was one of the greatest experiences of my entire life. Just all of this adrenaline, all this nervousness energy, all of this doubt, everything just came pouring out of me on that stage, to the point where I walked up at halftime and the owner of the show was there because it was the first one. And the owner of the show came over to me and he went, "You enjoyed that, didn't you?" And I was like, "More than probably anything I've ever enjoyed in my entire life, sir. Yes." And he went, "Fucking superb," and just walked off. And I was like, for the rest of the tour, I was just like, this is what I was born to do. I absolutely loved it, every second of it. But yeah, so as far as performance goes, I've got loads of experience in that. And all I've had to do is turn that to the mentalism, turn that to the magic, and then, you know, we're off to the races, you know?
It seems like there's this pattern of you being... It seems like there's this pattern of you being like put in situations where you're like, I don't belong here, whether it be like on the stage there or anywhere in the magic stuff that's been happening, but then smashing it out afterwards. So it's like,
well, I try
to be put in discomfort.
Yeah, I think so. I kind of, it sounds cliche, doesn't it? But I do kind of work really well under pressure, I think. So it's a matter of, if I put myself into an uncomfortable situation, if I'm determined enough that I want to do it, and I've got the drive, then I just kind of plow through and see what happens. And for a lot of the time, it's turned out all right, you know?
It's good to have that attitude, though, man. And as well, you're adapting it to different things. I mean, I think magicians probably early on and performers in general probably struggled because they're not really true to themselves. They probably kind of like phoned it in, or there's a bit of that imposter syndrome kind of stuff where they're trying to be David Blaine or they're trying to be whatever. But you didn't come at it like that, because I suppose it's more like the Robert Houdin saying that a magician is an actor playing the part of a magician. You're kind of like a representation of that, in a sense. That's literally how it's kind of come about for you.
That's literally what I am. I'm an actor playing the part of a magician at the moment. That's what I'm doing. And I'm learning all the time. And I'm trying really hard. And I'm studying and I'm buying downloads and I'm listening to everybody that I can listen to, and, you know, hanging out with like you guys at Blackpool and stuff. Like you taught me that whole thing. That's genius. Absolute genius. I've been slaying people with that. But it's learning all the time and picking stuff up. And, you know, I'm in a very privileged position and I'm aware of that I get to, if I need to call somebody to ask them something, I can call Craig Petty, I can call Lloyd Barnes, I can call Peter Nardi, I could call Luca Volpe, I can call John Morton, Michael Murray. I can call all of these people that at the drop of a hat they're in my phone, and just go, "You all right, mate? I've got this thing. I'm trying to work on this. I'm trying to do this. This didn't happen the way that I wanted it to happen at my last gig. Why didn't that happen? Or what is this effect? I've heard about it. Is it any good? Is it going to suit me? Blah, blah, blah." And I've got all these people that I can call and get advice, and they will help me. And the amount of times that I've spoke to you, David, and just got some advice on stuff. And I know that I'm in a very privileged position where I can do that, which is great. And I love it. And it doesn't pass me by that I'm really, really lucky. But I've worked my fucking arse off to get to this point. You know, people think that because I've only been in the magic scene for the last 12, 18 months, that I'm this wet behind the ears kid that's just come from absolutely nowhere. I've been in the entertainment industry for over 20 years, slogging my guts out, having my failures, cutting my teeth, learning my craft, doing this, that, and the other. And it just so happens that the skills that I've already got kind of cross over into mentalism really well. So, you know, I am lucky in the position that I'm in to be in this position. I am really lucky, but it hasn't come without its, failures in the past.
Sure, yeah.
It's a situation you see that, like, even people talk about nowadays, a lot of stuff with magic releases. There's a lot of that, like, almost self-working or pretty easy products that people can just buy and do, like, literally an hour. While even 20 years ago, it was kind of, you buy something and hopefully in 3 months you can give it a go. But things like methods are just getting cleverer and more streamlined, and technology is allowing 3D printing and stuff and all that sort of thing. So just methods are getting better. But for someone who doesn't have performance experience, where the majority of magicians come out of, like myself, it was like the shy teenager who was just sitting alone, and like the magic was the crutch to perform. So initially I wasn't performing, I was just doing the trick with nothing going on here. And then and you can see that now with people, like you give two people the same basic trick, and if without a performance it just won't hit, because you're just the trick itself is so simple. People are like, well, all I have to do is do A, B, C, and miracle. And it's like, why isn't people reacting? It's like, because You got to
'Cause you're
build
not
the
selling it to
suspense
them.
up. And, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Everything's a
gotta do
show.
it that
To me, everything is a show. Everything. Every trick that I do is a mini show. And that's just the way that I perform because of how I've been trained and because of my background. So I just put that into magic. And you see people coming up all the time at conventions and stuff. Can I show you a trick? And it's like, yeah, of course you can. And they'll show you a really good trick, but they won't say a fucking word while it's happening.
Yeah.
And they're basically just showing you the effect. And it's like, well, that's great, but sell it to me. Put on a show. Tell me a story. Do something. Say something. Look like you're enjoying it. Look like you're having fun. Because unless you're having fun, unless you look like you really love what you're doing, no one else is going to give a shit either. Like the songs that I've sang with my band, where we've written a song and I've gone, yeah, I don't like that. And that all the other lads in the band have gone, I think that's a great song. And I'm like, yeah, but I hate it. And they're like, well, we like it and you're voted out. Because it's like, that's just how it is with bands. It's always the majority. So, but I've had to go on stage and sing songs that I really don't like. But if I'd have just gone on stage and just, this song shit, I really don't want to do it. And you just, like, it'd be a crap show. So even though it's not a great song, and I don't like singing that song, and I'm not particularly comfortable singing that song, you go and give it everything you've got, because that's what you do. And whether you
just
are
sabotage it and be like, see, I told you it was shit. Crowd didn't.
I told you it was shit. Did you hear the audience? They fucking hated it. But with magic and stuff as well, any kind of...
It'd be like, what did you learn, guys? What did you learn?
What did you learn? Yeah, don't fucking argue with me. I'm the singer. But even with any kind of magic, any kind of performance, whatever it is, if you're performing to a room full of 500 people in a theatre, you've got to put on a show. If you're performing to your grandkids that you only see once a year, and they're the only people that you ever show magic to, why would you still not want to make that a fantastic experience for them? Just because you're an amateur magician, you're not out being paid, you're not a gigging magician, doesn't mean that you can just do the trick badly. Do you know what I mean? Like, why would you not want to, if you've got the ability to do it, and if you can learn how to perform like that and learn how to and enhance the trick by making it an experience, even if you're just performing to your family at Christmas, why would you not want to do that? So magic is an art form. It's an art. It's the same as being a musician. It's the same as being an actor. It's the same as being any kind of performer. It's an art form. So to me, I treat it like that. I treat it as an art. And whenever I'm performing in anything, whatever it is that I do, I give it 100%. And every trick that I do, every trick that I'm out there performing, whether I'm 100% confident it's going to work, or whether it's, something that I've been given that I'm just going to try out and I don't really like, I'm still going to give it everything that I've got in the performance side of it, because even if it's not a great trick, if you sell it really, really well, it's still going to blow people away and you're going to give people that magical experience. And that's kind of my philosophy on performing. And it doesn't matter whether it's a self-working trick. It doesn't matter if it's really simple. It doesn't take away from the feeling that the person gets when you perform it to them if you do it well. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I see that a lot when you're giving the performances, because you can sometimes, even at a gig when you're at like table 10, start feeling yourself going into the autopilot mode. Yeah. Like Steve did a gig the other day, and I think it was like 40 tables or something.
Oh man, crazy gig.
They didn't say that when it was booked.
No, they didn't say that when it was booked. But that was a rookie mistake on my behalf. But I've done a lot of gigs for them, so it was just one of these. Yeah, no problem. Just tell me where it is and where it is, and that's it. I'll be there. When I got there, I turned the corner. I was like, oh fuck me, I need like another magician.
Yeah, I went to one with Nemed the other day, and there was 33 tables with 15 people on each table. And me and Nem just walked in and we were like, oh fuck, we've got 2 hours to do this. 2 hours to do 33 tables of 15 people per table. That was a lot of fucking people. But it's every single table you walk to, and there's that many people sat round. Each one is every single one's a mini cabaret show.
Yeah,
so you're doing 15, 16 mini cabaret shows in 2 hours. It's just like, fuck me. Again, how did I get to this?
Roll the dice. It's a 2. Okay, next table. Roll the dice.
3, 2, 1, 4. I'll see you later. Thanks very much.
After the next one. Done.
You're running it like
You, quickly, have you got heels on? No, brilliant. Stand up. Put your arms out like this. There's your strength. Good night.
Quickly, my thumper's dying. Anyway.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah,
But
the
again,
vibration is a bit
that's all
low.
learning, isn't it? Like doing something like that is a massive
It'd been
step
a
up.
while since I put into that kind of environment, without being aware, kind of like, because I took the gig directly and stuff, and it wasn't through like management or anything, but it hadn't happened in a while, and I was like, fuck it, I can still do it, because sometimes you get comfortable, but sometimes when you're in the trenches again, you're like, oh, I remember this isn't so bad. Be grand.
Yeah, I mean, I've done nothing but that kind of stuff for the last 12 months. It's literally just been because all the gigs that I get come in through work. So a lot of it is corporate or weddings and stuff.
Sure.
And the situations that I've walked into and I've just gone, I'm not fucking ready for this. This isn't I'm just not. I'm working on the same bill, the same structure at work as Nemhed Phoenix and Craig Petty and fucking Tom Maloney and all of these incredible magicians that work for us. And then all of a sudden I'm one of them. And I'm being put on the same gigs that these guys are being put on. And I'm like, this is too soon. I can't fucking do this. What are you doing? And then I'll pull up outside gigs and it'll be like over Christmas. There was like a crap load of military bases where I've got to walk in and perform to 250 fucking officers. And I'm like, this is nuts. This is not okay. I'm never going to survive this. And then after you walk through the door and you G yourself up and you take your breaths and you slam your head in the car door a couple of times or whatever it is you need to do to snap you out of it. And then you just walk in and you do what you do and hope to God that it goes okay. One of them over Christmas, which I couldn't fucking believe it. I was like, it's fine. It's going to be okay. There's 200 officers in here. I'm on my own. I'm just going to belt it round with my die. Everything's going to be great. Walked in, first table, blew him away. I was like, fantastic, fucking confidence. 10 minutes, done. They all think I'm a god. Let's move on. Went on to the next table, did the die thing again just to open up. And they were like, oh, it's brilliant. Can you do that with that die? And then I was like, where's that come from? And on every single table in the entire venue, they'd put 4 fucking black dies that looked exactly the same as mine. Because it was a casino night. There was fucking dies everywhere. I was like, oh my God, what? So that was it. I couldn't use the die for the rest of the night because everyone was like, okay, we'll do it with that one then. And you can't go, nah.
Yeah. I'm like, yeah. Of course I will. Let's do it with this one.
Yeah, exactly.
Little switch.
So I was like, fuck, what am I going to do? So yeah, I ended up not having to use the die for the rest of the night, but I couldn't turn it off. So the whole night it was just going off in my sock, and I'm just like, I can't. It was just mocking me that I couldn't use it. Do you know what I mean? All night.
It's like,
but yes, situations like that gives you a kick in the face. Situations like that, right, okay, well, this is what the working world is like. Because you can't prepare yourself for that. It doesn't matter how much experience you've got in whatever kind of performance.
Sure.
You can't. There's nothing like a close-up corporate gig. There's nothing like that I've ever experienced ever. Everything I've ever done has been on a stage. I'm really comfortable on a stage. I walked into my first close-up corporate gig. I'm like, fuck me. I've got no idea what I'm doing. Not a clue how to do this. And then followed Craig around for it's completely different to anything that I've ever experienced, ever. And I've hosted events, I've acted, I've done musical theatre, I've worked for the police, I've been in bands, I've done all sorts. And nothing I've ever done comes close to the experience of doing a close-up gig at a corporate. There's nothing like it. So that was a massive, massive learning curve from the get-go to be able to all of a sudden throw myself into that world was terrifying.
But
it's great. I love it now.
Of what you have with you, because you got a pile of tricks with you that solid, and then none of these tricks will work now in this environment. So you've got to have that experience that you can go, oh, I'm going to switch out this, I'm going to do this, and I don't have time for a big long setup. It needs to be quick visual or whatever. And if you don't have it with you, you're screwed.
Yeah, which I didn't at the start. I think I knew 3 tricks my first corporate gig that I walked into. So if they hadn't have worked, I'd have been fucked because I didn't know anything else at the time. Right. So yeah, it's but again, it's all learning, and I love that. I love being put into that kind of pressure, and I love coming out the other side of it. I'm okay. I didn't die. Do you know what I mean? got good feedback actually from that first gig. Like Craig was gobsmacked that I actually got some decent feedback out of it.
That was a client he was trying to get rid of. Just be like, we don't want these people back anymore.
Yeah. And then they rebooked the following year.
Yeah.
And it's like, ha ha.
It wouldn't have surprised me if Craig was going around going, I'm going to put 4 dice on every table. And
That wouldn't have surprised me at all either, to be honest. Definitely not. But yeah, it's all that kind of learning, and you've just got to get out there and fucking do it. You've just got to go and do it. Anybody that's like sitting at home going, God, I wish I could be a professional. The definition of a professional is that you get paid. So the first time that you walk into a close-up gig at a corporate or a wedding or a family party or whatever the hell it is, if somebody puts money in your hand at the end of the night, you're a professional. That's it. That's the definition. There's no pedestal that professionals are on. You know what I mean? There's no difference between a professional magician and an amateur or hobbyist magician, other than the fact that the professional has gone out there and got himself a gig. That's it. That's the. There's look at Lloyd Barnes, one of the best magicians on the planet right now. He's phenomenally good. He's not a professional. He doesn't get paid to go and perform magic. Doesn't do close-up gigs. Terrified to do close-up gigs, actually. He doesn't perform, but he's an incredible magician, and he could walk out there in a heartbeat and go and be a professional. Yeah, I've been doing magic 12 months, and Lloyd Barnes isn't a professional, and I am. As far as gigging's concerned. Obviously, he gets paid to produce magic, and you know what I mean? He's in the magic industry, and that is his profession. He gets paid for making magic, but he doesn't get paid for going out and performing magic. Doesn't do it. So I've been in magic for 12 months and I'm a professional magician. Lloyd Barnes isn't. You know what I mean? There's something wrong there. There's something doesn't quite add up. So anybody can be a professional magician. Anybody can have those experiences. Anybody, if they want to, can go out and get a gig. Just go out and get one.
It's all those, just knowing those few tricks that you were saying as well. Like for your first one,
just get a set.
Yeah, and it's just doing one. Because I even felt for my first stage show. I had my first stage show and I was like rewriting it. This was back, I think, 9 years ago. And I was like, oh, I'm going to do it. And then eventually I was like, I'm just going to book a venue and have a date set. So that's the thing is that, like, if your first gig, just book one. And then, like, as long as you can do a couple of tricks, book one and then figure out what you're going to do. Like, especially if a few months out, like, you can go practice.
That's it. The first gig that I did,
do it.
100%. The first gig that I walked into, I knew 3 tricks. That was it. I knew 3 tricks. And I went in and did my. I wouldn't have if Craig hadn't have gone, you're going there on this day and you're going to go and do magic. I would have never done it because it's terrifying. And I understand that people are fucking petrified to do it, but it was one of the best things that I ever did because I actually went and did it. And once you've got the first one out of the way, it's like, fuck me, that was amazing. I want to go and do that again. And then you're off to the races, you know? And I've always said it with any kind of performance, whatever it is, whether you're walking onto into a theatre or you're walking up to a table of 10 people at a wedding, that's your stage. That's still a stage. Regardless of the dimensions of the floor space you have, it's still a stage. And the second you walk onto a stage for the first time, regardless of what that stage is, you either go, fuck, I never want to be here again. This is awful. Or you instantly fall in love with performing. And you're not going to know which one it is until you've done it. So everyone should go and do it at least once. Because you'll either be like, yep, I was right. That fucking sucks. I never want to do that again. Or it'll completely change your life. But you're never going to know unless you go and do it.
It's true.
There's a line in the song. It's actually in Cody Rhodes' wrestling theme song. But there's a line where you go, I walk out the curtain, lights go up, I'm home. And I'm just like, that is what it feels like for me walking on stage every time.
100%.
It's like, I always tell people I never feel more comfortable than on stage. And like other people find that weird. But I'm like, I if I could just be on stage all the time. But before I go up there, I'm like, what the fuck am I? Why do I do this to myself? Like, I don't need to do this. Why am I doing this? This is shit.
Yeah.
And then I step onto the stage. I'm like, oh, because I fucking love it. That's why.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Fuck, I forgot that.
I am exactly. I couldn't have said that. That was word for word what goes on in my head every single time I walk out onto a stage. Every time. I'm terrified. I'm backstage. I'm shaking. I'm telling myself all of the self-doubt, all of the self-deprecation, everything. You can't do this. You're not good enough. You're shit. Why are you doing this? You're out of your depth. You shouldn't be here. What the fuck are you doing? You're going to make yourself look like an idiot. All these people are laugh at you. This is going to ruin your career. Every single fucking time before I do anything, before I walk onto a stage, before I get out of my car with a close-up gig, before I walk on stage with a band, before I start a murder mystery, before I do anything, it's there all the time. And then the second I walk out onto whatever that stage may be that day, I'm like, oh yeah, this is why. I'm better now. This is where I feel comfortable. This is my happy place. Back there, backstage, fucking hate that place. On stage, this is my home. I like it here. Let's stay here forever. And then you walk off stage and you're like, shit, when am I next? And then you're looking at your phone. When am I next on stage again? When is my next gig? When am I next? You know what I mean? And you're never gonna know that feeling until you've gone and tried it.
Yeah. You have to
That's
be
how
out
I
of
knew
your
I
comfort
wasn't
zone.
a kids magician as well, because it's the only time I didn't feel like liking it. I was like,
which is why you don't do it anymore.
I was
For
like,
improvement.
100% done. I was like, no, I don't belong here. This is weird.
Yeah, nothing good happens in a
I can't
comfort
swear
zone.
or anything.
Yeah, fuckers. but nothing good happens in a comfort zone. You've got to push past those things. You never do anything. I mean, a lot of my stuff is escape stuff, and I wouldn't have even thought of that stuff unless I just did it. You know what I mean? It's stupid sometimes, and you're just like, fuck it, I'll just do it. See what happens. Grant.
See what happens. Exactly. The amount of times in a week I go, yeah, fuck it, let's see what happens. It's unbelievable. All the time.
Someday it'll catch up on us.
It's like my catchphrase in the office. Craig will come out with this ridiculous idea, and everyone will be like, "You can't do that. You can't do that. You're going to get sued. You're going to be like, you can't do that. It's not going to happen. There's no way. It's going to fail." And I'll just go, "Yeah, fuck it. Let's see what happens." And we just go and do it and see what happens. You know, sometimes it works, sometimes it don't. And I moan at Craig all the time on the videos and stuff. But oh my god, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this, because at the time I really don't. But then it gets to the point where, you know, we're just about to do whatever fucking stupid thing I'm about to do this time, and I'm like, yeah, fuck it, let's see what happens. Most of the time it ends up all right.
I think for working in the office and stuff as well, for a lot of magicians, like, who would like performing and that sort of stuff, the other thing that can hold them back is the whole sales side of it. And like, from your experience in the sales stuff, do you have any like tips for people on how to sell magic or is it just like being a nice person? That's
basically it, isn't it? Just be a nice person, have a personality, be trustworthy. Don't, you know, you've got to build people's trust, you've got to build rapport with people, and you can't be a salesman, you know what I mean? You've got to, I'm always super honest with people. Like, people will ring up before, like, have rang up before and gone to book like illusion shows, which are thousands of pounds, but it's not really going to suit their event. And then it's like, well, you might be better off with a cabaret show as opposed to a full-on illusion show. I think it's going to work for you better, which is a fraction of the price. And then from a business point of view, that's not great sales. But we're in the entertainment industry. And the whole point of us being in the entertainment industry is that we make sure that our audiences are having the best experience possible. So you do that and you tell them to go for a cabaret show instead. It's going to be cheaper, but it's going to suit your event better. And we're going to be able to do this and this and this and this and blah, 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 blah. And then that customer then comes back to you every year for the next 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And has other companies that they speak to calling you up and booking events. And then that person will book an illusion show because it suits their event better. And then you've got a cabaret show and an illusion show. And then a whole bunch of different close-up gigs at smaller events they've got going throughout the year. And you build rapport with these people and you build a relationship with these people. And then you go, well, anything performance-based that you need, you just let me know and we'll be able to sort it. And then you have all different people from all around the company, from all around the country, coming to you going, oh, can you do this? Yeah, 100% we can do that. And then you've built this relationship with this group of people, and then the sales are coming in. So, and just being nice, being approachable, even on a phone. You can be approachable on a phone call. You know what I mean? You can put people at ease. People don't know about the entertainment industry. People don't know what's going to work and what isn't. And if they think they do, they probably don't. So you've just got to have the experience, have the knowledge, be able to share that knowledge articulately, and make sure that when you get booked, that person has an incredible experience. And it's really, sales is really basic, but really, really complicated at the same time. You've just got to, it's the same with performance. You've got to have the experience to know what's going to work and what isn't, and then be able to put that across to your customer. but anyone's got the ability to be nice and helpful and upbeat and friendly and put the person at ease and make sure
That's
that
where
they're
I've been
going to have a
going
good
wrong.
experience. Yeah, exactly. You're too much of a bastard. That's your problem.
Give me the fucking money, like I might show up, I might not. Who knows? Just pay me.
I'll do what I want to do when I fucking get there. All right.
Exactly.
Bank transfer now. Fuck off.
Yeah. I do one trick, but
Yeah. I'm going to do one trick over and over and over again until you fucking like it. And if you don't like it by the end of the night, I'm going to charge you double.
And is there somewhere on site I can charge my dice? Okay, thanks.
that's on your rider. A USB.
Yeah. Yeah. I need a plug socket and a USB charger. That's it.
That's brilliant. I suppose as well with some advice as well for people like that is it's always that you're the expert. You know, like I had a woman ring me one time for a wedding, and she goes, "Yeah, I'm going to need a magician." I was like, "Okay," yeah. And the wedding is whatever, and she goes, "For about 9 hours." I'm thinking about 8 or 9 hours. I was like,
wow, have you got 2,000 people coming to your wedding?
8 or 9 hours. She goes, "Well, that's the kind of the length of the wedding from the time of the ceremony till like." I was like, "Yeah, no."
No. I'll happily charge you for 9 hours if you want, but it's going to be a mistake.
yeah, you're gonna have to remortgage your house, love. But but just being the expert and going, oh no, like 2 hours at this time or 3 hours at that time will be better or whatever.
Yeah.
But
how many guests have you got? Brilliant. You'll need one magician for this many hours, and we'll do it at this time because this time is just after the ceremony is where there's going to be a bit of a lull. You'll have having your photos taken. All the guests are just kind of standing around bored. We'll kind of mooch around at that point then, or just after the wedding breakfast if there's a gap in between changing the rooms over and yada yada yada, whatever it is.
Of course.
You just have to have the experience of knowing that this is going to work for you because we know, but don't put it across like we know best. Just go look from experience. This is from experience of 16 years in the magic industry as a company, which is what Slightly Unusual is. We found that if you do it at this time, this will work for this reason. Be open, be honest, explain to them. The reason that we're saying this is this reason. If they agree, which most of the time they do, great. If they don't agree and they go, no, I definitely want the magician on just as the band have started. And you can then give them the reasons why that's not a good idea. We want it like we want to have the magician around during the speeches. And it's like that it's probably not a good idea for this reason. But if that's really what you want, that's fine. We've told you that we don't think that that's the best time to do that. But if that works with your plan and that's what you want, then fine.
That's when the
and you leave it up to them.
Price comes out.
Yeah.
I don't want my reputation taking a hit of people being like, that magician was really rude during the speeches. You're like,
exactly.
That's why I charged 10 grand for an hour.
For that one, it's a 6-figure gig. Yeah. You just price yourself out of the game. But, you just have to, you give the advice that you've got, you give the experience that you've got, you build rapport with people, you make people like you. And if you make people like you, they'll book you.
Of course.
The advantage you have then as well with Slightly Unusual being a company is for that repeat business, you have the different packages of the illusions and the cabaret and the close-up that people can switch it up, and also the different magicians that are available and that sort of stuff as well. So the people can feel that variety, and people like smaller things, you can add that in by having a stage show, having close-up, having...
We've got all the options in the world. And we've got Non-Stop Kids, which is the kids side of it, with the kids shows. So not only can we offer stage shows or cabaret shows or close-up magicians, we can also offer entertainment for the kids as well. So, we could sell them a whole wedding entertainment package, no problem at all. And it's it's kind of like a one-stop shop if you like magic.
Yeah, it's really good.
Excellent.
Now, we're coming up to the hour, so it's about time I bring up...
Already? Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's flying.
It has gone very dark.
Yeah. Your background is chopped away. It's like you've got just like you're in a studio now with a black backdrop behind you.
What I love about it at the moment is, man, it's kind of like become like a bit of a floating head. You're like the great and powerful artist.
Yeah. Get rid of my badge. Yeah.
There you go.
It's gone very dark.
I used Adobe to do remove background there a while ago, and it's just your head there.
Just a couple of fish floating around behind me.
Savvy Dali shit.
We have this segment called The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, where we ask our guests to tell a performance story of something that might have started off good and then slowly went downhill. Because like being
My
magicians,
career.
being magicians, we've all only messed up that one time at a gig, Joe, only the once. So it's easy for people to remember.
Oh yeah,
the one.
totally. Yeah. There's only ever one thing gone wrong on stage for me. What genre are we talking about here? Music, magic, theatre? What?
Anything you want, whichever you think might get the you think is the funniest.
I mean, you said we're coming up towards the end. We could do double the amount that we've already spoken just on things that have gone wrong to me on stage over the years. Easily
go for it.
Magic related, as this is a magic podcast. Doing the effect that I did at the show. We do a show for all of our entertainers, all of our kids' entertainers. We do hire a theatre out, local theatre, and we have all of the children's entertainers that we've got from all over the country down there for a day, and we do workshops and classes and stuff and teach them how to do, new effects for their little magic shows that they do for the kids. And then we put a big stage show on for them of the evening in a proper theatre, 300-seater theatre or something. We open it to the public and we sell tickets, and all the money goes to Birmingham Children's Hospital. So February just gone, Craig asks me to do 20 minutes or something. I'm like, yeah, great, no problem, sounds great. Do Bane by Jamie Dawes, which is incredible, wonderful effect, love it. The whole staging of it with the little cocktail shakers and stuff, it looks beautiful on the stage. The method is fantastic. I've got the patter down to a T because it works. I work for a murder mystery company. I do murder mysteries all over the UK, have done for years. So I just worked that into my patter. Brilliant story. Really happy with it. First person that opens the first person I get to die on stage just drops the fucking cocktail shaker. And the gold cherry rolls out into the middle of the stage.
Wow.
And I'm like, well, that's fuck that one then. That's the end of the trick, isn't it? The whole point is you narrow it down to leave the one person standing on stage that's got the golden cherry. And now the golden cherry is in full sight of everybody smack bang in the middle of the fucking theatre stage. And my brain just goes, well, that's the end of that then. How do you get out of that? That's game over. And I don't actually remember what happened, and I haven't watched the video back because I'm fucking mortified. But I did get out of it. I got out of it eventually, and I remember standing there on stage for what seemed like forever.
Oh yeah.
But a couple of mates out in the audience were like, within a split second, you just started talking, and I was like, it didn't feel like a split second. It felt like about 4 years that I was standing there, just staring into the spotlights that were shining down on the stage, thinking this is probably one of the worst things that's ever happened to me on stage. Because as a young magician, not in age, in amount of time performing, I didn't have the experience to know what the fuck to do. Like if it's theatre and stuff and something goes wrong, you've always got somebody there with you. Like as a team, you'll get out of it. Band stuff, there's a whole bunch of you on stage. You can get out of that. I'm standing on stage with 5 complete fucking strangers. 6 complete strangers and no clue what to do. Not a clue. Normally my brain will kick in and we'll just go, okay, we'll do this. And that's the experience kicks in. I had no experience. I've got no experience of things going wrong on stage with theatre, with magic. So I just fucking panicked. But I think the performer in my head went, you can't just go, oh, well, that's gone wrong. Sorry, everybody, and walk off. You can't, that's not an option, is it? That's not a thing that you can do. So my brain just went, right. So where does it go after we reveal the cherry? Where it goes after we reveal the cherry is that we go back to the murderer and prove that you knew all along that it was going to be that number. But it wasn't that number. So the cherry came out of the wrong thing as well. And I know which card that guy's got in his inside pocket of his suit. And I know that if I held that card up, it's going to have the wrong number on it. So I'm like, not only has he dropped the cocktail shaker and the golden cherries come out, the golden cherries come out of the wrong fucking cocktail shaker. How the fuck has that happened? So then I'm like, right. So I just went into this patter, this spiel for like 2 or 3 minutes, just waffling on complete bollocks, but using my skills as an actor to make it look like I knew what I was talking about. And then from the very beginning, you say you've had a card inside your pocket. Can you please take that card out for me? At that point, I'd normally get them to open the envelope and read it out. But I just snatched it off of him, took it out, held my hand over the wrong number, and held it up and gone, "Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, number 3. Good evening, thank you, and good night," and just took my applause and walked off stage. And a couple of my mates that are magicians in the audience text me immediately and went, "How the fuck did you do that?" And I was like, "I don't know what I did. Like, I'm going to have to watch the video back because I don't remember what happened. I just blacked out and it just kind of happened." But everybody that was in the audience had no idea that it had gone wrong. As far as they were concerned, I just made this guy die on stage in front of everybody, and then a golden cherry fell out, which happened to be the first one that fell. And all of a sudden, I'd found the golden cherry instantly, and then it happened to be in a prediction on this guy's inside pocket. So it kind of worked out.
Yeah.
But for me, I was terrified. Like, it was one of the only moments I've had in memory where something went wrong on stage and I just didn't know what to do. And I fucking hate that feeling. And I don't ever want that feeling again. So now I over prepare everything to make sure that if something does go wrong, I've kind of got an idea about how to get out of it. But I learned a lot from that. And I never want to feel like that again. It was horrible.
It's the thing when you're dealing with people, they'll always do something you don't expect. And that's the other thing of getting out there and performing, is that, like, you can think of everything that the spectator could do and have your ways around it, and then you pick someone and they'll just do something else. And it's just
do something you never imagined. Yeah. Well, a couple of my friends that were in the audience that were magicians reckoned that the guy screwed me over. But I can't confirm or deny that because I've got no idea what happened. I've no idea how it went wrong. But apparently there was only one way that could have happened in that way. And it wasn't my fault, apparently. But I mean, I take full responsibility for it because I should have explained to the guy more clearly not to throw the fucking cherry across the stage.
Yeah, that's the thing though, that like if it hadn't fallen out and the routine went on, you would have thought the cherry was somewhere else. It could have been an even worse situation that was out.
So he actually did me a favor because I'd have gone number 2 or whatever it was. Can you show everyone that you've got a red cherry? And he'd have pulled out a gold one, and then I'd have been even more screwed. So at least it happened when it did, and I kind of got out of it. But yeah, it's all learning. It's all logged. I've lost plenty of nights sleep over it. But it's everything's a learning curve, isn't it? But you've got to have the love for the passion. You've got to have the passion for the art to then go, right, I don't know what went wrong, and I can analyze this till I'm blue in the face, but I'm never going to know what went wrong. If you know what happens, you can kind of. The worst thing about that is I still don't know exactly what happened. If you know what happens, you can make it better next time.
Sure.
And you can make sure it doesn't happen again. If you don't know what went wrong, that's so much worse because you just I genuinely don't know what happened and I can't fix it. So that's not a great feeling. But you've still got to have the ability to realize that this is something that you love, and regardless, I'm going to get up there and I'm going to do it again.
One of those things that you can never really like practice for or be prepared for. I was doing a horror convention before, and I was doing Sneak Thief. I'm sure you know Sneak Thief and the method as well. And I wasn't expecting this, but someone bit the corner off the fucking pad, like a little bit off that corner, the one you need, and spat it out while they were drawing their picture. And I was like, "Oh, make sure you know which one is your drawing." And the guy just went, "This is my one." I was like, "Okay." I was like,
"Fuck!" It's a bit like the most obvious mark you've ever needed to see in your life. Is this your one? I think your teeth line up. Yeah.
Yeah.
The first one was like, "Oh, so this is yours." There you go.
Yeah. Get off my fucking stage.
Ooh, that literally just gave me an idea for a very weird trick, but you could totally get away with it. Do you know those things they use to get like molds of people's teeth? Get everyone to bite into these things and have them mixed up. Then you can give each person back their dental records.
That's a bit gross, but I kind of like the way your brain works.
Yeah.
That's
I was like, that's the way it goes. It's like for
the
right time.
Very clever technical way. Like if I know Dave, that's just going to be like someone handed out like fucking pots of like Play-Doh or something.
Yeah. As you walk into the theatre, everybody gets a tub of Play-Doh with the instructions "bite me" on it.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. But it's when you do stuff like Bane and stuff like that as well. Especially, I always find the first time you try out a new stage piece or even close up, it's like you need it to go well, because otherwise you can really lose your confidence in the whole routine as a whole. Because like I did Imposter on stage for the first time at that gig the other night, and I've been doing it just for friends and family and stuff. It's been fine. but because I've been doing opening for Steve a lot lately, and because he opens with Sneak Thief with his 4 people on stage, I don't want to have 5 people on stage doing a lie detection thing before us.
Yeah.
So I haven't been able to try it. So I tried it on that show, and I was like, "Oh, please work," because like it's my first time doing it on stage in front of like the general public. So I was like, "Just please work."
Yeah, Imposter's incredible. Imposter's amazing, and it's such a good. You can't really go wrong. Something would have to go catastrophically wrong.
People have to like swap the sticks without you realizing, or like
exactly.
Bizarre, and
they would have to properly kind of screw you over for that to go wrong. And I use Imposter all the time. It's incredible, absolutely incredible.
I love it so much. It's really good. But yeah,
I've just been screamed at. I think they're closing the pub.
You get it going. Yeah, they close the pub just as we come to the end of the podcast as well, which is just great timing. Really. It works out so well. But we try to say thanks for coming onto the podcast. Really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Find you. Where can they find you online besides Magic TV?
I mean, I've got Facebook and Instagram and all that kind of stuff, but they're all personal ones. Like, if you want to watch the channel, if you want to learn about the magic, if you want to watch the reviews and all that kind of stuff, it's definitely Magic TV is the place to go. That's where all the magic stuff happens. My personal Facebook pages, I don't really post stuff personally because we've got an entire social media team that do all the marketing and stuff via Slightly Unusual and Nonstop Kids and Magic TV. So, if you want to find anything about me and the magic, then Magic TV is the place to go.
Awesome. Thanks so much. And again, we've only scratched the surface. We'll definitely have to have a part 2 at some point when
that'd be amazing. I would love to. I would absolutely love to. That'd be a pleasure. It's been my honor to come on and speak to you guys. I think you're both absolutely amazing.
Thanks so much. Really appreciate it. And if everybody else thinks we're amazing, if you can like and subscribe, that really helps out the channel.
Definitely like and subscribe.
Yeah.
And if people are amazing, fuck you. Thanks very much.
Yeah. And on that note, thanks so much, guys. We'll see you next time. Subscribe and go fuck yourself.
Subscribe and go fuck yourself.
Thanks so much. We'll see you later.